this particular time in history, the Black Panthers were losing a lot of their staggering influence that they had in the 1960s. On part 2 of the Black Panthers history, you remember me talking about at the end of the video how Huey left to China and thought about delegations and where to take the Black Panther movement forward. Well, he eventually did return from his visits, but when he returned, he began to see how even more internally divided the Panthers became. In early 1972, the many hundred of chapters and branches that resided all across the United States began closing down everywhere, and all of the important members from the party resided back to where it first started in Oakland, California. By the time of 1972, the Black Panthers began to run for seats in local governments in Oakland. Bobby Seale ran for mayor and other Panther members ran as well, but Seale never got elected into office, even though a few Panther members won seats on local government commissions. It's 1973 and not a lot happened. The only real significant event that I found in 1973 would be the opening of the Oakland Community School. And after researching this school and finding out some facts about it and finding out how they ran procedures and how they taught especially black children, I would have loved to gone to that school instead of the horribly whitewashed elementary school that I went to. Staff writer Shania Ely said the following regarding the Oakland Community School. Students were taught a wide variety of subjects from math to history by members of their community. But it wasn't just about memorizing facts and dates. Former OCS students passionately stated during the panel discussion at the conference that they taught us how to think, not what to think. At OCS, black youth were not afraid to be themselves or to ask questions. Their self-esteem and confidence was constantly reaffirmed as a result of the staff and faculty members who were led by the heart and invested in their development. OCS empowered black youth to find their voices and help liberate their spirits. The party was always about community and helping each other from the inside in. Well established on their 10-point program where education was seen as absolutely necessary for black people. But the right education, not anything whitewashed. The article also talks about how the kids would have had a 10-minute exercise program. They engaged in meditation and mindfulness practice, which had a positive impact on student mental health, something that should be regularly done in today's school system. What's also interesting and almost forward thinking that the Oakland Community School achieved is that with their program of providing free breakfast, like the one I said in the last video, it ended up resulting in the nation's requirement for every place in the nation, every school in the country, to provide a free breakfast for all children of all ages. So I felt like if I didn't mention that on this video, then me mentioning the school would have been pointless. In 1974, Huey Newton was in trouble again and was charged with 8 other Panther members for assault and for the alleged killing of Kathleen Smith, who was an 18-year-old prostitute. Huey left the country again to Cuba to escape conviction and to escape all of the legal issues clouding all over his head. So he made the bold move of appointing Elaine Brown as the chairwoman of the party, who was the first and only woman to lead the Black Panther Party. Elaine Brown ran from 1974 to 1977, and she focused a lot on electoral politics and community service. And with her new leadership in charge, a massive amount of woman influence began to arise within the Black Panther Party. It was already there, but with her being the president or just the leader, it became much more apparent, especially in terms of population, because 60 amount of the Panthers were women and the rest were men. So obviously there's been a huge amount of women that were more prominent than men. Right now sounds like a good time for me to discuss women's role in the Black Panther Party, because whenever we see photos of Black Panthers, it's mostly a male-dominated group. But through the efforts of the many black women behind the scenes and their work ethic and their loyalty, the party became what it became. Examples of prominent women in the Black Panthers being Elaine Brown, of course, Kathleen Cleaver, Angela Davis, who you guys should search up because she did some crazy The basic roles that women played were of community outreach, helping in the breakfast program, education and being teachers, and health programs. The Black Panther Party newspaper were extremely important because the newspaper brought light to the Black Panthers' ideals and morals and agendas and all the other things of that nature. And while the men were distributing the papers, women like Elaine Brown and Kathleen Cleaver were the ones actually laying down the foundations of the Black Panther ideology. Now, of course, with this huge populace of women now in the Black Panthers, a lot of black men didn't like that they were being led by a black woman, and issues of gender relations and sexism and all those other things, which were already there, but it became more prevalent when Elaine Brown was inaugurated. She even said this about her experiences regarding gender relations and sexism within the party in her 1992 memoir, A Taste of Power. She said the following: "A woman in the Black Power movement was considered at best irrelevant. A woman asserting herself was a para. If a black woman assumed a role of leadership, she was said to be eroding black manhood, to be hindering the progress of the black race. She was an enemy of the black people. I knew I would have to muster something mighty to manage the Black Panther Party." Kathleen Cleaver, who I mentioned earlier, said the following regarding gender relations inside the party: "What I think is distinctive about gender relations within the Black Panther Party is not how those gender relations duplicated what was going on in the world around us. In fact, the world was extremely misogynist and authoritarian. That's what inspired us to fight against it. When women suffered hostility, abuse, neglect, and assault, this was not something arising from the policies of the structure of the Black Panther Party. Something absent from the world. That's what was going on in the world. The difference that being in the Black Panther Party made was that it put women in a position when such treatment occurred to contest it. Black women were absolutely essential in the founding of the Black Panther Party, and I feel like I wouldn't do enough justice if I probably didn't do an entire video about it. So comment down below if you want it. Without black women, then the Black Panther Party probably wouldn't have been successful, plain and simple. In 1977, Huey returned back from his exile in Cuba to a miasma of negative complaints about black women basically overrunning the Black Panther Party. Elaine Brown left the organization shortly after Huey came back from his visit, and she left in 1977, and she left for the reason because Huey had authorized the beating and the ruthless assault on, I think they say it's a school teacher, but some people say that it was Angela Davis and her jaw got broken. So yeah, Elaine Brown didn't like that at all, so she fled to LA. By the year of 1980, the Black Panthers were pretty much over and done with. The membership was not even in the hundreds anymore, and it dwindled down to just 27 members. And the Oakland Community School closed down in 1982 after the scandal of Huey embezzling drugs to feed on into his drug addiction. So yeah, to end this timeline for the Black Panthers, it's pretty much 1966 to 1982, which is deemed as the final year of extreme relevancy of the Black Panthers. Huey Newton eventually died in 1989. He was murdered. And Bobby Seale is still alive to this day, but he's probably giving out seminars or something. He's probably like in his mid 80s by now. So that's the end of this video. I hope you learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot as well. The Black Panther Party is a time in history that you've seen a lot, but you don't really know like how it really formed. It's only like surface level. So I really appreciated making this video and looking up historical context and just interviews and just all the main figures of this movement. The Black Panther Party burned hot for a while, but then it slowly began to lower down its flame. But not just because, I don't think it's just because of one major thing. It's a lot of things. There was internal conflicts and schisms are involved in the party. There were external conflicts with other gang members and other social organizations, and also the COINTELPRO organization. So it was just things like that that really dimmed down the Black Panther Party's popularity, but they did enact a lot of change at the time, and their messages and their overall demeanor and thought has been so influential that we have movements like the Black Lives Matter movement that basically took that message and is still pretty much running with it today, but on a much more like modern day scale. They're not as like extremely like, I don't want to say militant, but like the Black Panthers were more like, they have more oomph to them, you know what I mean? Again, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see me delve into more historical events that happen in the world, be sure to comment down below. I might as well do it. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out in the overall YouTube algorithm universe. So yeah, this was Mark Arroyo. Farewell.